Welcome back, everyone. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. Back again on another segment. And in terms of this, I'm going to be getting a little bit more committing what I'm going to be conveying here. We have now come into the time of Heru and crossed into the new Aeon via March 23rd of 2023. It is meant to be an Aeon of self-realization, and it's all about decoding the possibility of one's true character and self-actualized, manifested, as well as growing interest in all things we are here to master as humans in order to come into Aeonic maturity. This also is why the madness and the insanity has risen to the surface in light of the hour that we are in. People are so utterly blind to how they are even being without knowing the occult. Everything that has not been dealt with, it has risen to the surface to be dealt with. And there's going to be no bypassing this, not with anyone, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, or temporal in nature. Certain things are being amplified, and you need to pay attention to those things. Now, many of us are aware of the agendas designed to offset the trajectory of our world. Again, this is why lockdown manifested itself the way that it did, and we are still pressed up many things that have worked to prevent the transcendence from happening, despite what has been anchored in terms of the ancient future. We are quite literally at war on levels some still cannot imagine, and some would even assume that it's not going to get better from this point forward. And I could even say it's going to get even worse in context still, because to that, there are too many people that still have not a fucking clue of what is truly going on. As with others, even at the forefront, on the levels necessary in order to cross these thresholds. It's our position to stand our ground and continue to inform and keep moving forward. Into the word, Heru, unto its law in principle. It is to do with the rune Ingwas, which is the gateway through to the central sun of true intelligence to this. Heru is the bifrost in terms of what bridges the sun bonds recreated when the gold of consciousness is organically tapped into and integrated. As with the practical magic that is offered with the mystery school, the Nectar of Athanasia is meant to meet that process integration and greatly assists the physical body to go through this process. It is within this sigil, the fire letter rune, Ingwas, which reveals the diamond portal unto the higher force itself. Much has been discussed and even debated in terms of what the Aeon of Horus actually is. And with what has been revealed to me is that it's within the diamond heart portal that stands as the pentacle star of the four elements unto the quintessence in terms of the eternal spirit when it comes to the art and science of alchemy. This sigil in terms of the fire letter codex unlocks the tesseract, the cube within the cube, in terms of the six-pointed star when it comes to star sequence ignitions. This, though, to the six-pointed star, reflecting again the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, is the lockdown equation and mathematical reversal technology in terms of numerology to the checkerboard mutation that many are not getting past, let alone are they aware of it because of the high levels of ignorance that they are dealing with in context to proper knowledge and wisdom, and especially when it comes to the occult. Ultimately, this is to the point of integrating the eternal lotus in terms of star core sequence ignitions that take place within the template once the codex is activated. The goal is to reach the point of integrating the eternal lotus held to its multi-dimensional, geometric, and geomantic relevance once the lockdown is transcended. And this ultimately is what we've been cut off from, to the templating of our eternal spirits in context to the true will force of the eternal spirit to soul code, blood code essence in terms of the quintessence that permeates throughout all nature within the universe and is the substance of that which composes our cosmic and celestial bodies on a multidimensional level within our physical realm. Again, the question springs to mind. What is the true will force? How does one actually discover what the true will force is? And see, this doesn't just happen on its own in terms of an assumption. Everyone on the entire face of the earth has been programmed to the goddamn fucking hilt against this. And it takes dedication and fortitude in terms of developing the wanting to know how to discover that when it comes to the great work and initiation. Everything is available in terms of a level 1 apprentice full rights initiation into the mystery school. If you seek mentorship of the mysteries and to what that means in terms of the occult, this is not to be mistaken with some kind of inverted bullshit that people would assume that don't even know the difference. They want to assume all sorts of kinds of things about me. Well, I don't give a fuck. This is an eternal axiom to how things actually work. And given its forms and terms and all the ways that it is to make the point and action and practice. Realize that everything has its original reference. And this is to make the correction in context to being an actual magus myself in terms of teaching this for years on its own accord with me. My personal education in terms has come directly from my core intelligence and confirmed in terms of actual study and research otherwise, and also gaining access to Amente itself. And from my observations, it is the same to what revealed itself to me on its own terms. And in terms of the new Aeon, the Aeon of Horus, it's as I have been saying that I'm taking things back to the original teaching. It must also act as a principle in reference and context to fundamentals. All of this, of course, has been extremely twisted throughout the Aeons. It's been case study after case study after case study I've taken on over the years. And the end result is the same with magicians that royally fucked up, let alone individuals that do not listen to right instruction when it comes to these matters. And as a rule of measure, also to the disclaimer with the mystery school that is in the Black Earth Library, we do not deal in malevolence, and we are more terrifying than you could possibly fucking imagine. They're also not so obvious. If you're fucking with that shit, then you're not a part of what has been implemented. I want to make that very, very clear before I proceed. And all of you will be seen for what you are. And everyone out there that even assumes I'm anything to do with it, you can all go fuck yourselves, or that I'm some kind of fucktarded moron. You don't even have the capacity to see it. And I don't have time to waste on willful ignorance and bullshit psychological assumptions to lies about who I am, let alone what I represent to my position. And regardless of insights to anything, few too many can even grasp to its principle unto themselves. And that's the point. And it does happen with those that do see, and it does happen with those that do hear. In contrast, it's the blind leading the blind otherwise. And those that do not see from the first eye of true intelligence. Truth reigns supreme, despite those that attempt to wield it, let alone fail in their own rites of initiation for cowardice. This has been seen countless times throughout the centuries, with far too many individuals that wanted to potentially become magicians that did not have a full spectrum perception of what it was they were even seeking. If you don't know the true history of this, then you don't even know what the fuck is really going on levels necessary in order to transcend. Because if you did know, you would hear every single word that I share on the platform. There is still not enough proper knowledge and wisdom unearthed, let alone integrated with most people to know the difference. If you know the difference and you've been doing the real work and you've been getting the fucking results, then good. We're all standing side by side onto the great quest we have all been partakers of in terms of incarnation. But we are in different times now. And you fuckers need to rise the fuck up, something fierce, and stand your ground against this shit. Not placate to triangulation factors trying to pull me and everybody else into wanton fucking bullshit. Me and my kind don't have time for it. But we are focused on what we are doing, the great work to implement, not only in our own lives, our own domains, in terms of a true purpose, reaching for higher ideas, hearing the call of the eternal return. This is your lives and also concerns the lives of future generations. And as I stated, it's case study after case study I've gone into. And also, as I've stated, that an occult reformation must take place onto the new renaissance that is before us in the face of the ultimate fucking evil that wants to devour our very lives unto existence itself. If you can't see what the fuck is going on or what has happened and implemented in terms of their grid works of consciousness, and you truly are fucking blind. The world in terms has gone into a place of absolute fucking madness, and regardless of warnings among other things, I've shared again and again the antidote, and it's everything to do with the true will force ignited via the gates of true intelligence, fueled by true care and authenticity and context to what love actually is, and has no tolerance for evil and insanity, and is the raw power to its magical formula otherwise. It is the logos of the new Aeon being accomplished by those who are partakers of it. And for those who have accomplished the gods via the Ra Hor Kahut unto Heru, who also has the blue flame of Ptah in terms of the ancient Kemetan arts that were the original alignment and were nothing to do with the corruption that came millions of years later to the crux of the procession of the grand cycle. It is to the ignition of your star core intelligence unto the higher force that shows you what you must do. And again, to gain leverage in all of the areas that we are working to master. Nothing that I have been sharing and teaching, let alone one-on-one over the years, is anything new. I am not the arbiter of it. I'm a template holder in terms. And it is the original teaching and how things actually work that you were never meant to know. And this is everything to do with individually discovering the true will force of the eternal spirit, actualized unto its dormant aspect within you to the gates of true intelligence. This is what the Heru is. That is what the Aeon of Horus is meant to actually bring us into. And we are all standing at the gates as the hearts of mankind are being weighed. So tapping into and integrating that which is the imperial self. Those of you that have been doing the real work here see how far you have come. As for those who are pretentious and have not actually done the work, you're all a bunch of idiot fucking morons that are passing up the greatest opportunity that has not only been addressed, but that which has been implemented with the mystery school. And it's a reflection of what did exist before what happened did. It's there within my templating. It's there within my codex. It's there within my lineage. And none of this can be refuted in terms of my position. See, what you still don't realize is that all of humanity has been conditioned to be cowards. And you can sure as shit bet that when it's all said and done, and when the actual truth hits you in the face harder than I'm even saying it right now, you will not be able to say that no one told you so. See, what you still don't fully understand yet is that this is coming from a place of authentic love, me being like this. This is how a true man should act and be to the hour that we are in, not some bitch that is going to allow his programming to dictate a goddamn thing. And this goes for everyone. And this is what the great work truly consists in, discovering what your true purpose is as a man or a woman in this realm. And what I teach with individuals, again, it's ultra specific in terms to actual templating and how this actually happens with an individual. And it's a specific formula and code and map and compass for you in terms of the universal laws of metaphysics and the eternal axioms. And if you don't like that, too bad. Keep going with your bullshit seminars and fluff bunny bullshit that has not worked on the levels necessary in order to transcend. It's never worked on the level, because if it did, then your life and the lives of others around you in the world would not be dealing with this bullshit. All of you out there are still blind to the veils that you do not see yourself enthralled to. You may have reached success on a very high level in terms of your physical prowess, in terms of your temporal existence. A lot of these fundamentals and principles are starting to go out more. And I know motherfuckers are listening to my content because I can see it going out. Whether acknowledged or not, I am not the arbiter of these things. This belongs to all of us and is a part of our birthrights in terms of incarnation. But when it comes to the mental, when it comes to the emotional, when it comes to the spiritual factors and context, that is the next level that I am definitely bringing forth in terms of this platform. And what would it take to the growth and expansion in consciousness and authentic care towards self-realization on a level beyond what you've been conditioned to, beyond what you've been programmed to, and realization of truth for the crowned and conquering individual who dieth not, nor is allegedly reborn, but goes forth radiant ever upon their way, having achieved the Heru. This is the Bifrost in terms of what the Nordic tradition revealed, and is the bridge gate on to the goal of consciousness itself. For so goes the sun, the central sun in terms. And as it is known that the night is but the shadow reflecting its warmth upon the earth for those that do not fear the unknown. But that's all you do fucking fear, what you do not know and what you do not understand and what you cannot comprehend yet still in terms of the limitations of the gauge of your perception to process and the actions that you are taking in life, wondering why. You fear death in terms of transformation, and is what we have to experience to the shadow within our bodies, integrated on a multidimensional level, traded out into a condition of an assumed identity and twisted will that operates from a false identity, that in terms of the soul spark being eclipsed, like I have explained for those that have been initiated into the mystery school, and how that applies to you as an individual. Because again, it's different. It's different with everybody in the world. And in terms of its contrast, veils actual wisdom from its bearer, let alone the ignitions of the heart of a potential master to an extremely high intelligence, pulling the intellect into alignment that cannot be fucked with and is sharper than Excalibur itself. We are in the time of Heru. The past is gone. We are living in the new saga in terms of the ancient future. And the time of the Ragnaroker is upon us. This has never happened since what happened did. And you don't have to like me. You can hate me and despise me all you want at the cost of not giving a fuck what you think. I go into myself for others. That is how this works. It is here now, and we have crossed the threshold into the new Aeon in terms of Heru, the age of Horus. It is here in terms of the procession of the grand cycle and will continue forward in the face of the AI timeline trajectory. We as individuals are the ones who anchor the higher here on Earth, and its first flower may well be like this, that which is freed, the obsession of the ultimate doom, in denial of the true will force ignited the birthright of mankind. And as it lays in stasis, there within its eclipsed form, all of this dormant potential in stasis, religion isn't going to get you there. Your beliefs are not going to get you there. Your opinions and assumptions about any of this, otherwise, to talk shit and slander and mock and fear, are not going to fucking get you there. And this is what the dark ones fear the most, that you will get it in terms of that being revealed and truly integrated on the level. You people have no idea what I have faced. And there is no creature on the face of the entire fucking earth I fear whatsoever. I know who my true enemy is, and that fucker was slain years ago on the quest that I was required to take to even be in the position that I am. No one is going to tell me otherwise into the limitations of the mind programmed by skewed reasoning, let alone limited capacity. It is only the best men and women out there that set out with the eager eye upon the path of proper knowledge and wisdom. That is who we are, and takes us onto the mountain track of the goat. This is the pathwork of wolves and dragons in terms, and is the untrodden ridge that leads to the icy gleaming pentacles of self-mastery to our existence as humans here on earth. And until this happens, to the All-Father and All-Mother and All-Child on all levels of alignment across the world with all of us, you can kiss everything you even thought you knew goodbye otherwise to the hour that we are in. It's already been happening with those that didn't catch it. And you still have no idea what is actually upon all of us here right now, and is far worse than you can even imagine still. These are actual facts. And this has nothing to do with belief systems or my biased assumptions. I have very, very powerful evidence, again, laced within the Black Earth Library. This goes into actual occult history to our present hour and a lot of other things that are happening now. This is not a time of peace or a time to be passive, falling into pipe dream fantasy land bullshit. We are living the sagas to the ancient future right now. We are at war right now, and we need to be standing together and not only learning to remember and know who and what we truly are, but to truly realize this and our responsibility to it. It's actually to see clear what has been implemented, every idea that sets itself against what animism actually is to the true sacred power and purity with us as humans here on Earth, which is everything to do with what the ultimate evil in this world has set itself against. This is to every mythos that was ever in alignment. And if you don't think the ultimate evil exists, then you are less than a half-wit, fucktarded idiot, and you are owned. You do not know reality, let alone who you truly are, let alone who you are among tribe in terms. You are a conditioned slave set against your own soul, surrounded by the same. See, again, I know who I am and what my position is and what is required otherwise, and also know what I need to do in order to be, and also know how I need to be in order to get it through to any of you out there. True care, which you are also conditioned against to your own indifference, because you don't really give a fuck, do you? If you did, then you wouldn't be acting a certain fucking way. You would hear the words spring forth the fire in his heart, reflected to you in terms of who the fuck I am. I am an individual that has set himself forward to show others how they can break the chains that you've been conditioned to love, that lay waste to you and others in this world. The true will force of mankind has been circumvented. And it's to know how to actually tap that shit as individuals. And we must rise for fucking real. This can't become a slogan. This can't be something that we just say. It has to be fucking proven how to do this in terms of an actual formula and recipe that is tailored to the individual. This is not a one-size-fits-all thing, but in terms of basic fundamentals and principles when it comes to the universal laws of metaphysics and the eternal axioms, you're not even going to get to where I've taken things with individuals without that to begin with. And that's the point. And those that have done the real work to access this, taking on all of the challenges that come with it, get the actual results. There's a lot that I got going on over here, and I very much appreciate everyone's backup and support and communication and flow and network. You can't imagine how much I appreciate it. And I can authentically call all of you friends in terms at the very least. As for those that want to talk shit and gossip behind the back and assume things without actually taking a deep dive to inquiry, again, you can all go fuck yourselves. You're not authentic, you're fake as hell, and you're not the kind of people worthy of the status that our kind hold in terms of consciousness, which specifically is to do with a higher consciousness awareness integration first and foremost. There is a difference here. There is a distinction. There is a standard and there is a banner brought forth. And if you are like that, then you are not a standard bearer to it. You only reveal the contrast of what is pulling the world into the fucking abyss as we speak. Your petty material shit means nothing in the grand scheme of things except to be used the right way and should be used as leverage, making this world a better place. Not to compete for the fear of loss and not surviving, but to collaborate. Not to compete, but to fucking collaborate. You want to go into competition? Fine. You'll stay in the fucking thrall. The only person you're ever in competition with anyway is yourself. It's not to compare or contrast. It's really a question of what your values are. And if you do not value higher consciousness and awareness integration first and foremost, then no matter what your status is in context to the petty material shit means nothing in the grand scheme of things because you're not using it the right way. That's your obsession. And if anything, you use it to enslave other motherfuckers just as ignorant as your dumbasses are. I no longer have time or any fucking patience for low levels of willful ignorance. Nor do I care what you think of me otherwise because of what is backing me up on higher levels, let alone others who are in my networks. I'm a Magi Grail Shaman, and we hold blood right jurisdiction over these things. I have my council, I have my crew, and if you want to inquire, then do so. That's the point. Anyone that messages me directly, I always get back to them unless they've been cut the fuck off. Because again, I don't have time for bullshit. I only have time for that which is real and moving things forward in terms of collaboration and reaching for higher ways of being, higher ways of living, and higher principles that we are applying to our lives. This is the age that we are coming into now in terms of the Heru. And if you want to study the contrast, all you got to do is look at the histories and what it's led to right on up to the present fucking moment. You need to stop acting like cowards and ask me directly instead of assuming some bullshit otherwise to your eclipse calcified egos. I'll correspond with anyone that gets a hold of me directly, like I said, if it's conducive to these things. Those that are ignited get it. And this is happening worldwide in the face of all of the insanity with my people. Yes, white people who hailed forth the Carpathian Mountains after the most recent cataclysms via the Great North to Udenmar. We are nothing to do with the Caucasoid in terms, and nothing is going to stop us as it has. The ancestors are awakening still, and this is what they are trying to prevent. That's why they did what they did in 2020. Realize it. See it for what it is. What can you actually say about your own culture and your own people who are ass over end deep, programmed to bullshit to the fucking hilt and blind to the hour that we are actually in? This is to all races and cultures in the world. You are at the very least 80 years late in the aggregate to the actual game played against your mind. And it's time to get your fucking skins in terms. I am he who holds the fire tablet. I am he who knows. I am he who cannot be contended with. I am he that will not relent for the sake of the birthright and for my kindred along with others. I have purpose. I am a man of meaning and inspiration. I made a vow and oath to the eternal return before I ever incarnated into this lifetime. And I know it more now than I ever have. If you think for a single second that you've seen something from me yet, even as it's been, as patient as I have been with the whole process of everything, you still have not seen anything on the levels to where things are going next, and will systematically continue to. Mark my words and mark them well. Many will not see it coming, and this cannot be stopped. And no matter what happens next, no matter how bleak it seems to the circumstance, no matter what challenges you face, always remember that you have the right to choose otherwise. That is what the power of free will offers if worked with correctly. Not to waste on bullshit and choose to live in fear of what you do not understand and what you cannot understand, let alone integrate. This also goes for anyone that assumes they even know who I am or what this is otherwise. It is a question in reflection to who you actually are, projecting itself in total fucking denial. If you want to know, then you can. But you must really want to know. With that, we pull the segment into a break. This is Sethikus Boza, blackearthproductions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. I'll be back right after this. Again, this is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. Now to continue with this segment. Manipulations don't work on a man like me. If you didn't incarnate to be a slave here, then leave a comment staking your claim otherwise, along with me and others that know. Declare it and mean it and live it, being the cause point. And to take it further now in terms of the segment, Lon Milo Duquette commented on the connection the Aeon of Horus had to the Age of Aquarius when he stated, quote, "The Aeon of Horus is coincidental to what astrologers and what songwriters call the Age of Aquarius and what millions of others refer to simply as the coming age. It would be a mistake to view this new Aeon simply as another tick on the great cosmic clock. The Age of Aquarius, profoundly significant as it is only one aspect of a far greater Aeon. And as far as I'm concerned to that quote, it's going to be decided what takes place coming into the new Aeon as we have in terms of the timeline trajectories that we are choosing. Knowing the difference in terms of what has been revealed to be an overlap with the Aeon of Osiris and Isis. As far as I'm concerned, these things are distinct unto themselves. The Aeon of Osiris and Isis reflected what humanity has been called in the last 26,000 years at the very least, to the most recent cataclysms, to all the bullshit that has risen to the surface to be dealt with. Heru, in terms of archetypal consciousness, has been working to get our attention. And throughout the centuries, many have risen in terms of its meaning. But it's never been seen on the levels necessary in order to override that which has eclipsed what the Heru represents, which is the true will force, ignited, the alignment of the gates of true intelligence. There are many alleged magical teachers out there, but in actual recorded occult history, we have only scarcely had nearly a few dozen actual Magi in the technical sense of the word. Again, as I've been saying with my works, this has to be proven as unto the force, the higher force of the Jedi itself. And you can only actually wield magic correctly in terms of manifestation to it. True magic can be recognized through its evocation of certain messages formulated with a single word, at the very least. I very often go into Fire Letter Codex in terms of evocation, allowing my eternal spirit to speak forth, rather than using languages that have been used to enslave us as humans. It's not to say that you can't be effective on certain levels, but much higher levels when the Fire Letter Codex truly springs forth. Another technique, as I've mentioned before, is how to do sigil magic in context, knowing the power of words in context to actual spell casting. This is why it's also called a spell or spelling of words, and quite literally the true sense of what it means here. And if you cannot master your declarations and you allow whatever spew to come flying out of your mouths with no discretion or discernment or awareness of the condition of your heart in context, it's all too clear in terms of my observations. Everything I say here on the platform is on purpose, to purpose, and I am fully aware of how I am being at any given time, let alone why. If you don't do things correctly, then what you say will not actually happen. It will fall through the cracks, let alone on deaf ears, as well unto yourself. It takes absolute patience and focus to tap into the Heru, but with conviction of a burning heart that has been ignited, and with enough determinism to remain focused no matter what the challenges are, no matter what bullshit comes at you, to all of the many distractions and bullshit are pulling you in 20,000 different directions. Major issues come into play because most only want quick results. It takes patience and it takes focus. And as with alchemy, on both a practical and spiritual level, it takes a long time to distill and extract some of the smallest amount of a plant's true essence, which is also exactly what we are doing here unto ourselves when it comes to the alchemical rites of initiation and its integration processes that we experience. This is why fortitude is required of the practitioner, and our words and deeds must align to such integrity so that it literally overturns all existing belief systems and conditioning and reversal codes set against that which is in alignment. All of us deal with fear, some far more than others. There is no being in existence that does not deal with it in terms of the dynamic. And again, it's to state that fear is not a human emotion. It's a lower spiritual force that targets the emotional body to pull you into feedback loops with it in order to siphon your magic, in order to siphon your life force energy. And here is where we must transmute the energies into courage, into bravery. We must ignite, let alone destroy, the theologies and psychologies that promote a violation against the true will force, and in turn embrace the willful teardown of foundations that are rotting from their base so that we can start to build even better than what we have done before. If shit is fucked up, then you have to be willing to do this. And if you're not, and you want to cling on to bullshit, then that's exactly what you will remain in. Another factor to this also, if something is actually working, don't try to fucking fix it. You can upgrade certain things, but never try to fix shit and make up problems and allow what does work to expand into the outreach of correlations that correspond and are not going to fuck shit up otherwise. I've seen this happen again and again and again. Individuals that don't listen in terms of what actually works. And when it comes to certain things, there's a lot out there that needs to be gleaned from that the ancients knew, that must be acknowledged when it comes to proper knowledge and wisdom. The ancestors were not some idiot morons in context. We're living in a time unlike any other time. Never has this happened in the thralls of fucking history. Yeah, it happened in one part of the region of the fucking world, but it never happened on the scales that it did in fucking 2020. And for aeons, the human races have thrived in the face of whatever fucking challenges we have come up against, let alone these lower forces that do not belong here on Earth. And with what is coming, we need upgrades when it comes to cosmology, of freshness, in terms of actual philosophy, and an actual standard of ethics and a code that we all actually live by to honor and integrity. As with those that do not live like this, there can be no collaboration. All you're going to get from these types, again, is competition. That is the lower way of being. It's a cause point for the divide and conquer in our fucking world. And in terms of this postmodern plague that has saturated the minds of those unwitted, everyone thinks they're right in their own eyes and cannot make the correlations even when it's right in front of their fucking faces. We need to be reaching for higher ideas and something that coordinates disconnected modern scientism and tear them away from what true science reveals in context to magic and spirituality in a very, very practical way on ground level. That's what I've done with the mystery school, into all of the things that pull everything into twisted forms of physics and psychology. One thing that I'm going to address here in this segment is going to go into what the psychology of narcissism actually is. First, though, I'll tell you exactly what it's not. It's not a fucking weapon to use against people you don't like. And it's sure as fuck not a weapon to be used to project what you yourself are in denial of onto another person, a situation, and context. And people that do that, well, you're pretty much just telling on yourselves, and everyone fucking knows it. You can all go fuck yourselves to it. Your parents fucking sucked at raising your stupid asses, which is a major reason why you're all fucked up on top of the losers that you've been hanging around with your whole life. And if you don't realize that who you surround yourself with is who you become, then you don't know how the law of correspondence operates. What we need is a coherent and consistent system and framework that is not going to allow these kinds of things to happen. As to the ancient future, and all the people going around using this shit as a weapon are actually a weapon for it. This is how manipulation and triangulation and reverse psychology tactics are being plagued on the mind, and also to a major aspect of how the checkerboard mutations operate. If you can't see this bullshit for what it is, then you need to strap the fuck in and stand your ground against these things and continue to do good and kick ass in life. Because even in terms of the age that we have come into now, there will be ages to come. And it is up to us what sort of mark we are going to leave in our lives, not only unto ourselves, but for others now, and for the future generations. Now, some things to look out for in terms of actual psychological narcissism. Pay attention to what I'm about to share with you, so that you can really see how the manipulations can happen, again, without knowing your own psychology as an individual. So the arts and sciences taught with the mystery school. These things become even harder to detect, let alone navigate, in terms of the actual psychological war that's being plagued on our minds. you first need to be aware of passing swipes that come upon you, whether with yourself or with others' projections coming at you. This is also nothing to do with being direct with people or people being direct with you. This is a very sneaky and destructive method that can be best described as quote-unquote clean hands. When the actual narcissist, the vampire, takes covert passing swipes at your character and slanders you or speaks contrary to the actual integrity of your character in an underhanded way, let alone overtly and directly do this. Over time, this is designed to break you little by little. And you need to watch out for this kind of bullshit, because when it comes to actual gaslighting, for this to be known for what it actually is, it's a term to describe a manipulation tactic that is often used by the narcissistic vampire to exert their pseudo power and control over their actual victims. And that's why we don't play the victim here. And we sure as fuck do not allow victim mentality within our ranks with the mystery school. We all have doubts and fears and insecurities, but we do not allow them to rule us. As with the vampiric narc, this involves making their alleged victim doubt actual reality, their authentic memories, and actual perception by providing false information, misrepresenting and twisting of facts, and also contradicting the shit out of what was previously said. No one is perfect, and everyone has quote-unquote narcissistic tendencies. That's not even close to the fucking same. But given to the actual mental disorder, psychologically speaking, this happens over and over and over again with these types. There's an actual pattern of behavior, and it is a destructive behavior that can leave long-lasting effects on the actual people that they do it to. It can leave them feeling broken and powerless. Again, all of you motherfuckers need to be aware of how you are first doing this to yourselves before you can start pointing your bloody fingers at other fucking people. This is also to accountability. And it's important to recognize the signs of gaslighting and how you have been conditioned to gaslight yourselves in terms of mind control. And if you need to, then reach out, get some assistance in terms of counsel with myself and others that actually get it if you must. All of us are in this together here on Earth. Another thing that you need to look out for is passive aggression. See, an actual narcissistic vampire is quite literally known to use passive aggression as a subtle yet incredibly damaging way to break you down mentally and emotionally. This manipulative tactic can leave their victims feeling confused, frustrated, and even unsupported. Passive aggression can take many forms as backhanded comments, making subtle digs at the individual's self-confidence, especially when you start to rise as an individual. They do everything they can to tear you the fuck down. This is what being passive aggressive is. And it's important to recognize and confront people like this early on and cut them the fuck off to prevent any further damage to your mental health. We do not take this kind of shit here in terms of the mystery school. We need to be speaking life and encouragement to ourselves and one another quite literally on a daily basis in terms of the actual code that we live by. And if you ever get the silent treatment, which a narcissistic vampire often is known for, this is toxic behavior and can be incredibly damaging to those on the receiving end with an extreme lack of communication and not being real about a goddamn fucking thing. Communication, it's important, and is the glue that holds a connection in place in terms of the law of correspondence. And if the narcissistic vampire intentionally withholds communication and attention, it can cause individuals to have a sense of being neglected, isolated, and rejected. And the silence can last for hours, days, and even weeks at a time, even years, leaving people feeling helpless and uncertain about certain situations and wondering what they have done or what they have not done to deserve such treatment. Realize this, that when you're dealing with an actual narcissist that has been diagnosed by a professional psychologist that knows the difference, it is essential to remember that the silent treatment is a deliberate tactic used to destabilize and control others. Granted, it's crucial to set healthy boundaries to have healthy relationships, but this is a whole other level of bullshit to ensure that you fall prey to their manipulation tactics. And I am not one who goes into silence. Silence is betrayal. And then come all of the actual attacks and also how they come flying out playing the fucking victim. The narcissist will belittle, criticize, and blame you for everything that goes wrong in their lives as well, going out of their way to do whatever they can to damage the fuck out of your actual confidence and sense of self-worth if you allow that shit. See, people that are real, like me, yeah, we can be quite harsh in terms of what is actually fucking somebody up. That's different than what's being explained to actual narcissism, psychologically speaking. And when you do inevitably respond in terms of your rational capacity, the narcissist will deny any wrongdoing and claim that you are overreacting. And then you end up blaming yourself for the conflict, even though reconciliation is the action being taken. This is how I operate in terms of any sort of conflict I've ever experienced in my life. No matter what the indiscretion has been, no matter what the misunderstanding or misinterpretation or misrepresentation or miscommunication has been. It's where everything gets flipped on your ass by the narcissistic vampire. They get fixed into it on an obsession and use the cycle to keep you off balance in a constant state of self-doubt, ensuring that their pseudo power and control over you are kept. The thing is, though, they have no actual fucking power whatsoever. And you got to be able to spot this shit from the get with people, let alone false guilt trips that are being projected upon you. This is not the same as holding yourself accountable to a standard of being that is going to bring actual success in life. And to that, you're going to go through a brutal process of being forged out of fire and iron and steel. The true path is not for the faint of heart, and it is not for the weak or those that willfully choose to be slaves for being cowards. And that's exactly what the narcissistic vampire is, a fucking coward. Again, they use false guilt trips as a tool to manipulate you. And know that that's not the same as if you're actually guilty of something and being held the fuck accountable to your bullshit actions and behavior unjustified. And it's these types that like to prey on your emotion and make you feel guilty for not meeting their demands right when they want them. And if you agreed to something, then you need to fucking meet that demand in terms. That's different. But the actual narcissism in terms of its psychological diagnosis, when a certain demand is made that is unreasonable and not good for your well-being as an individual, this is where you fuck up. This can leave you feeling drained, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and everything of the sort. It's a helplessness that has taken these individuals over. The victim mentality plays so fucking deep, trapped in a cycle, projected in denial. Don't have a standard for shit. And if you can't meet certain standards, then admit that you have no one else to blame for your condition. You can change it at any given time if you make the decision to. All of us are responsible for that. And it's important to think for yourself and not allow yourself to be manipulated by bullshit. Another major thing that you need to realize, another person's behavior has nothing to do with you whatsoever. And you deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. Even when you're getting your ass handed to you in terms of the hot seat, so that the course correct in terms of a situation that has arisen to be addressed takes place. You're going to want to respect those that are putting you in your fucking place when necessary. This is what it means to be accountable. And I have my accountability and I have my counsel in terms. If you want respect, then you're going to have to fucking earn it in life. It's not just freely given. People that freely give it without any sort of code of conduct that they live by are fucking idiots. They're just wide the fuck open to the narcissist in context. And people won't respect you if you're some piece of fucking shit. And those that have no self-respect can even give it to others that actually deserve it. The way that we treat ourselves will always reflect the way that we treat other people. That way you're not going to be taking the way others are being too personally, being the cause point for your own life. And if the Aeon of Ma'at to the Heru arrived, then you can bet your ass that the hearts of mankind are being weighed at the scales of the procession. I was the first one in line, and I've already crossed the threshold, which is why I do what I can to confront what I must as a man that knows the difference and continue to weigh my own soul, what we have just come into. The Aeon of Horus is pressed up everything which is working to prevent us moving forward, locking us down into a narcissistic bullshit fucking paradox to the madness and insanity in the world. That is what those who are unwitted have been conditioned to on an unconscious level. And this is also why all of the fucking bullshit drip feed clickbait that's come out in context to the psychology of narcissism is being used as a weapon against your very soul. And you need to know the difference in terms of what I just said. And to the standard and the banner of how we live, seeing yourself through the lens waves of the higher force. Things to the double-wanded one as a principle are revealed for those that have crossed these thresholds. and we are they who shall bring the candidates into full rites of initiation. It's as I've stated, that I am 1,000 steps ahead of what is even present. And to that, I must continue to exercise extreme patience and fortitude to the hour that we are currently experiencing, meeting things where they are, along with all of you out there. And it's justice, which is the reward of the Ra, Hor, Kahut. And see, there's a division hither, homeward, and there's a word not yet known still. Our language and even spelling is defunct in terms of declarations. And to this, we need to hold our ground and raise the spell of Ra, Hor, Kahut onto the Heru. You really need to understand and understand that the Heru is a god of war and vengeance against evil itself, and in terms deals extremely harsh with it, and with those that choose evil to willful ignorance and apathy. We must stand our ground, fortify our fields, and ward it with the enginery of war. War has been declared on the human races, and has been on all of our doorsteps since 2020, especially on a psychic level, coming right the fuck through your goddamn television and internet, motherfuckers. See, this is where the battleground for your mind actually is. And you're either a player on the actual fucking field of higher consciousness, or you're just a fucking goddamn spectator. I'm on the goddamn fucking field. Spectators don't actually get to make any moves and be a part of deciding what happens in our world. The ones that don't give a fuck are enthralled to the area of every bullshit distraction imaginable, like I've addressed. And to the Heru, I will give you a war engine in terms. But with it, you need to smite this bullshit that stands before you, especially others that go the path of evil to willful ignorance. We cannot see these people as human anymore. They do not even act like true humans. This, again, is probably one of the most compassionate things you can actually do. And for some, it may seem counterintuitive because of their conditioning to slavery. But this is the law of battle to conquest in order to get the steel of revealing unveiled in your secret temple. And that temple is already outright disposed, as it is your Qibla forever. It shall not fade if you do the real work. And when so doing, a miraculous spectrum of color to the bridge shall come back to it day after day. This is a part of our ward. And revealing it forth in the locked glass for proof of it in this world. And we must fear nothing, even when we are overwhelmed. We must transmute and alchemize every single time it tries to enter your framework. We must not fear individuals, let alone the fates. We must not fear the gods. If something happens, then see it as an opportunity to rise. You have to make stepping stones out of these goddamn stumbling blocks, otherwise you're fucked. This is what it means to step up in things in terms of life and circumstance, not to any other alleged powers that be within the cosmos, or upon the earth, or under the earth. And see, Nu is the refuge of Hadit, your light being siphoned. And I choose to be a strength and a force of vigor against it. And everyone that falls prey to self-pity and apathy, you're only bringing about your own demise, physically, mentally, emotionally, temporally, and also spiritually. See, you have to go to the context of things in alignment with cosmic law. This is how quantum grammar and parse syntax operate in terms of the trivium, the quadrivium, the circle of the magician, all of the arts and sciences to actual initiation into the occult, along with everything else that lays the proper foundation. All of this is protocol teaching when it comes to the mystery school. The fundamentals and principles, when applied to your existence, you are going to get the results with them if you do the work. Without it, you don't got a standing goddamn fucking chance against what the fuck is coming against your ass, not knowing the difference to the original timeline trajectory. I warned about 2020 and I warned about 2023. And for the past few months, has straight been kicking up in terms of consistent fucking warfare. When the fuck are you guys gonna really get it? If you want to know the reasons why, then go back into the segment archives on Black Earth Productions. Start at the very first video and then work your way up to this present one now. And if this is what you're dealing with, then you need to act accordingly and slay the fucking shit out of all of it. The most holy and sacred place that you occupy should be your mind first and foremost. It is our beingness in terms of our body politic. And in terms of actual psychology, let alone metaphysical astropsychology, that is what it boils down to. Do you know thyself? And why unto yourselves? We should move into places where we are untouched throughout the centuries. And those places do exist. They have always existed. And that's one of the main secrets that's unveiled in terms of actual initiation. And with fire and sword, it is to be burnt down and shattered otherwise. Look at your very life right now. Get up right now. Go to a mirror and face the mirror and ask yourselves why. And be brave enough to listen to what comes to you. It's to these invisible houses we stand and what we need to stand our ground against in terms of the procession of the grand cycle and confront that which is going to destroy the true temple to be occupied otherwise, in all the different ways that this is manifested throughout the Aeons in terms of the Inquisitions, let alone the psychotronic Inquisition that has been taking place since 2020. When things are going good in life, you need to be aware of the flanks. Do not think for a single fucking second that the true enemy is not laying in wait for an opportunity to strike at us. You always need to be aware of this. They are not of honor, and they don't give a flying fuck about integrity, and we should treat them as such. I've come to the point in life where I'm going to treat people the way that they treat me. And it should be the same with all of us. Yes, treat people the way that you want to be treated first, as long as it depends on you. And if that's not meant in regard and correspondence and camaraderie, then you're dealing with someone that doesn't even treat themselves or others well whatsoever. And they should be treated like shit for the genuine pieces of shit that they fucking are. Call the spades out for what the fuck they are. Do not project or idealize something upon that which is malignant, especially when it comes to the parasite itself. Housing the temple, taking the fuck over. This is what happens when the soul spark is pulled out of the fucking template to be occupied by the parasite itself. You people have no fucking clue the diabolic, twisted integrations that have taken place in context and how it actually fucking works. I know how it works first fucking hand. How do I know? Because I know thy enemy. I've studied these motherfuckers. You don't know what I know on the level in terms. And this is why I'm able to see it and spot it for what the fuck it is when it's happening. And when the double wanted rise and take their positions, as I have, this is reflection to Heka when it comes to actual magic. And you have to assume you're thrown within your own temple in terms of actual templating. You have to sit upon the seat of your own throne. That is what the atrioventricular node is. Ignite it, okay? I've been doing this for a long time now. And if we are going to see and experience the rise of Heru in our own hearts, everybody's on their journey. You on yours, I am on mine. But I will not break the trajectory to which I swore oath unto myself even before incarnation. You got to have discernment and to sharpen your focus to even know otherwise. Be aware of how those that are true are being slandered at the wayside of what people will not own up to. We must continue to rise and bring a fresh fervor from the skies and be aware of this goddamn fucking gynocracy and their castrated patriarch coward cunts that lay in the wake of lust and worship of the parasite unto the dark goddess herself. It's their actions and behavior that prove it. And all of these individuals that have co-signed a narrative to an alleged single god has revealed its true face in terms of the collective here in context. This parasitic beast that has mingled the mind of glob priests of it, and all of their murderous sacrifices shall only stain their tombs. And those of us that rise autonomous and sovereign shall reign as sovereign in alignment to our own autonomy and purpose, contrary to anything that violates our inherent rights and freedom in this world. And to the hawk-headed mystical Heru, the ignition of this from within your own temple will be what carries us through these times. The evocation of the Heru Ra-Ha, called Hor-Pa Karat and Ra-Hor Kahut. Let this be a battle cry in your daily lives, and focus on the victories while all of the failures that we have all experienced are accounted for, and burn in the fires of our indifference to them. Remember forever the places you have come from to get to where you are now, and remember that you must keep going no matter what. We must appear on the throne of Ra and be open the ways of Kahu. You must lighten the waves of the Ka, which is your very soul, and flow with the waves of the Ka that run through your very being. You have to stir it up. You have to get on fire for this, and let the Atum of the true Aton fill you from that place of core intelligence, so that you can make the connection back to what the fuck you were cut off from in context to what this principle is meant for. Not to your wounds, not to bullshit excuses to a false identity, but from a place of true intelligence and unto the higher force. Be it like this within yourselves and with one another. We must light this within ourselves and the blue flame we have taken back from its wielded impostors. We must push this sword within our own hands, for there is a secret gate that makes itself known when you establish the way. Having no way is way, having no technique is technique, a certain principle and philosophy that came forth an ascended master there was once here on earth. The light of truth is yours if you want it, and you must allow its rays to consume you. We are going to have to deal with whatever comes, no matter what. And no matter what ordeals, we must oversee them. As for those that are blind, do everything you can to encourage and empower them. Call them out on their bullshit and allow them to despise you for it, if necessary. Call it out within yourself every single fucking day. And I guarantee that bullshit to remain dead as long as you do. As we are all going through a major death and transformation as we have since 2020, in terms of this year in 2023, with things that could be coming up to cloud the vision. See it for what it is, and know that those things are dying, and more of who you truly are, if you're doing the real work, is going to emerge forth. Do not allow fear to overtake your thinking in terms of your state of mind. Realize that in light of what I do and how I operate, I refuse no one, but I will have no fucking mercy for traitors, let alone people that want to try and fuck with me otherwise, let alone anybody else in my networks. And the wiser that I have become in terms of recall to my templating, we know how to destroy our enemies when necessary. Again, look at the world, everybody. Look at the goddamn fucking world. It is time for Heru to rise in context in the face of all of this bullshit. And I'm sending it forth in terms of this segment. We do not cave in. We do not relent, even if it leads to our actual physical bodies failing under its wake. You must remember that if you are actually connected to eternity, there is no void that will pull you into the evaporation zones in context. Ask yourselves, when and any other time now in our world did the human races allow this kind of shit to ever fucking happen? Never in the course of our entire history, except to the procession, did it happen. And this is why you need to wake the fuck up and heal the ancestors where you stand. Otherwise, you will make the same mistake that they did in ancient times. You were given plenty of time to get your shit together. You were given plenty of teaching to know the difference. You were given plenty of things to lead you in the right direction, to lay the proper foundation, let alone come into a place of expansion to that foundation. And it does not matter how far you are along the path or whether you're just starting out now. What matters is that you're on the actual path. And as a holder of the blue flame itself, it was to the mission to wake people the fuck up to the actual truth of all of this. And I'm here to remind everyone of the true occult history, as I have covered so extensively on the platform of Black Earth Productions, brought on prominent people that have been at the forefront, that were light years ahead of their time, even as we are now. Everyone that has ever come on with me has also been on point in context, and there is nothing on Black Earth Productions that can be refuted whatsoever. This is not a pastime for me. It is my mission and a major part of my purpose here on Earth. And as to the I am mantra, I am Ra-Hor Kahut. I am powerful to protect myself and those who are to become stewards. Success is my proof, and I will argue not with fools and cowards. I am not here to convert anyone. I'm here to bring forth a message. Discard it if you want to. It is of no consequence to me otherwise. But for those that seek to entrap me or to overthrow me, you will be unleashed upon without pity or quarter. as swift as a trodden serpent of wisdom turns to strike and laugh at the fear that comes upon us. I spit in your faces, the true enemy of mankind. And let the scarlet woman beware, if pity and compassion and tenderness, if she leaves to toy with old sweetness, then shall my vengeance be known. You will be cast out from among men that know the difference, as shrinking and despised whores that crawl through the dusk, wet streets. And see, all of this sounds very fucking harsh, but you must realize that this is the natural recourse that takes place when you violate cosmic law and terms. And is a major reason why the world is in the state that it is, because society accepts these kinds of things. Society allows this fucking bullshit to fucking persist. It's all the people that are fucking allowing it. So fucking let them. Let them raise themselves to its arrogance and watch what happens. Watch as the works of wickedness take their course and watch it kill their hearts. I've seen enough of it to absolutely fucking despise it. Let them be loud and unable to reason, covered with the jewels and rich garments and all the things they adorn themselves with to mask the lie that they live, the absolute shamelessness that these types are becoming, and the very fucking thing that great men are warned against. And if you're a woman listening to this, then you need to see it otherwise with your own kind and call it the fuck out and be a woman of virtue and high value in terms of truth itself. If you do, then you will be lifted to the pinnacles of true power and give birth to visions that are going to make this world a better place, let alone give birth to that in terms of legacy, not destroy it from the inside the fuck out. You will come into a place of true joy with the higher force and alignment, and you will be the fruit of gladness, also hated and envied and trashed upon, to themselves programmed to inadequacy. You will see them and need to strike against the worship of Nu. And what people need to realize about Nu, she represents the waters of the abyss itself, that which gave birth to evil in our world, and is one of the Ogdod, who are everything to do with chaos that opposes Ptah. And Ptah, if you don't know what Ptah is the alignment of the sound song frequency of consciousness of the very soul itself that comes to your eternal Ka, and gave forth the very breath of existence in terms of fundamentals and principles to the ancient Kemetan mythos. And I got into exposing the Ogdod and the Magi, Grail, Shaman, Betrayal of Thoth, and the Rise of Asar segment. This is draconian and reptilian to the core, for that is what they are. And unto Asar, this is the Heru we must focus on, not all of the bullshit that is going to promulgate the mind control so that you are subject to it. Not only will it suck things into the abyss and be given birth to through these individuals, you must strike against these things. The correlations I have made to Kemet, to the ancient Nordic tradition, also again warn mankind against Gulveg, who takes the form of a woman that is infested by the old ones to her ultimate form as Hyrule in terms of the abyss, which is nothing, I repeat, nothing to do with Ginnungagap and what it truly is to the circle of the magician. If you do not realize by now that everything in the fucking needlecraft of the old ones is real, then you need to take initiation into the mystery school and get full access to the Black Earth Library. I have 100% proof that is 100% irrefutable. And all of you really need to wake the fuck up again to the hour that we are in. And the one thing that they want for you women is to be the goddamn birth canal, as it's always been since what happened did for this shit. And as a man that knows the difference, who is also charged on mission to the blue flame itself, whether you like it or not, I'm here to not only warn against it, but I must continue to call it out for what it is. It's so obvious to what the fuck has been going on in our world that those that don't even know the depths of the occult as to why this has been taking place, they can't fucking ignore it. Everything is risen to the surface in terms of their good works of consciousness that are being extricated the fuck out and exposed for what the fuck they are. Again, the true grids that have been buried asunder in terms of the Earth Mother herself are no longer going to allow this to be birthed into the fucking world. And this is the death throes that we are experiencing in context to it. Everything is risen to the surface to be dealt with, and we must deal with it accordingly. And if you do, you will be lifted to a pinnacle of true power and give birth unto Heru in context, a child in terms of vision, to its fundamental and principle when it comes to vision, let alone an actual child that is mightier than all of these alleged rulers that have positioned themselves as the gods over mankind, that have enslaved mankind against itself. And it's the force of the divine masculine that is streaming this forth from the rooftops, even as I am, that will be met to it, and our force is striking against the worship and kowtowing of Nu. And you shall not achieve Hadat, which is said to be connected to every star, the entire cosmos, in terms of where we are recreating again the sun bonds within our body politic on a multidimensional level, as above, so below, as within, as without. This is what brings us victory and true joy, and I will be at your arms in battle, and you should be delighted to slay the fucking shit out of this shit. Again, success is our proof, courage is our armor, and I'm pouring out as much strength as I have in overflow to you. This is all coming from a place of overflow. This is all coming from a place of things that have been revealed to me that I have been sanctioned to communicate and convey in this particular segment. To the Ace of Cups that is within my templating when it comes to the art of bridging worlds and universes. And if you do this, you will not turn back into the ways of darkness and ignorance that blinded you from the truth otherwise of who you truly are in alignment. And in terms of the parasitic beast that we have been up against, I've discovered the key of all of it. And I'm here to draw the line to this key and assist and unlock gates with you for those to whom it's meant. There is success for those who do the real work otherwise. And unto the hawk-headed Heru, spoken forth in absolute clarity to its principle is what shrouds the night sky. Hail to all of you twin warriors about the pillars of our own world. Our time is at hand, and we must rise to this. And if we are to hold the double wand of power in terms, we must gain access to the hidden name of who we truly are and gain access to the actual purpose of why we incarnated here on Earth. I've said this often, and I will say it again, that the future of education will reflect what has already been established with the mystery school. Even as it was established millions of years going into prehistory before what happened to take us away from our birthright as humans. We have entered now into the new Aeon in context to Heru. The Aeon of Horus is before us now. And we must enter the new Aeon to fundamentals and principles that have laced themselves out through what the universal laws of metaphysics and the eternal axioms reveal to those that seek them and want to know the actual truth of reality. If you want to know how things actually work and manifest for yourselves and your lives, the alignment to which truth is achieved, the success that you are going to have to work towards in order to rise above all of this fucking bullshit and pull the alignment, then you're going to want to send me an email at blackearthproductions with an S at hotmail.com. Go into the description, click on the link in terms of services to the mystery school, and sign up for the full rights initiation in terms of one-on-one mentorship with me. I will take you into the arts. I will show you how they apply to you as an individual so that you not only have the proper foundation in order to build the vision that you have set forth in terms of your own life, but so you eventually come into a place of thriving beyond what you can even imagine. Many of these fundamentals and principles are going out into the world. I even see it in terms of the networks that I am involved with, and I know that people are paying attention. Go to the Black Earth Productions website, blackearthproductions.com. Click on the services page and send me an email at blackearthproductions with an S at hotmail.com. And with that, to wrap things up, the sound image of a tree, a word of mouth that cannot be, nor can a bird of wood see, but in our mind's eye we recite the four sagas of creation. Absent is the breath on fires of night, and nourishment of a flowing Magi nation. For this is what the tree has said. On a rooted bed, the individual sits to be fed. The ability to recite the word, the logos to thee in mind without speech, speaks of one sound image, to see and hear one's own phenomenon, because rather than the physical sound, the tree recites the word tree to thyself unto itself. Know thyself, said the tree, as the hawk had at last perched forth to sea. This is Sethikus Boza, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts and Occult Science, Temple of the White Dragon. I look forward to speaking with you soon.